Hi everyone, welcome back to another video. um let's jump right into it. I will be making Sunday goals today. We are starting with butternut. I put it in a microwave for a minute to 1 minute 30 seconds, just so that it can soften the skin and I can peel it easily. I haven't cooked a proper Sunday course in a while. I always just, cook. What do we call it? I always just improvise, because really Sunday course can take a long time, and it doesn't help that it is mostly cooked on Sunday. So, and Sundays, my Sundays are always busy. It's supposed to be a resting day, but my Sundays are always busy. I've seen this trick of putting your butternut in a microwave somewhere on the social media. I'm not quite sure which social platform. And after peeling it, we will be cooking it in water. You can add a lot and let it boil up until soft and drain the water, but I always stay away from draining water from my vegetables, because I feel like I'm throwing away the things that I'm supposed to be consuming, except when I'm making a broth or a pho. I would blanch my meat. And once that is going and boiling, I continued by peeling my beetroot. I don't like the old-fashioned way of cooking beetroot. I feel like it takes a lot of time, takes uses a lot of electricity. I was multitasking, guys. I started the meat earlier. I'm going to cook it the old-fashioned way. It's been cooking for an hour. I'm adding garlic and green chili in there, and added my bay leaves. Stir that in, and please, guys, leave my pot alone. Added onion powder, garlic powder, paprika, smoked paprika. Stir that in until the day I afford to buy new pots. I'll continue to use these ones. And when I buy new pots, these ones will be retired for making bread only. Yeah. So as I was saying, I stay away from boiling my beetroot whole. It takes a long time, unless if I am cooking it on fire, then I don't have a problem with that. But if I am cooking on the stove, I definitely peel it, dice it, or grate it. Grating it is the quickest way to cook it, actually, but I didn't want the grated one this time. I wanted the cubed one or the diced one, whichever way you want to call it. And I find it's still quicker cooking it this way as well, compared to cooking it whole. It takes a long time. I'm always looking for ways to cook my food that is easier and quicker. Though most of my food are not quick, my maximum in the kitchen is always 2 hours per day. I don't know how long do you stay in the kitchen when you cook every day? I hear people saying an hour. I can never cook under an hour or an hour and 30 minutes unless I'm cooking quick meals every day. But we all know that's not possible. So after dicing it or cubing it, I rinse it off, because I did peel it without rinsing, and I was chopping it. I'm just making sure that there isn't any particles that I don't need there. I'm checking up on my meat, and then my beetroot is on the stove. I boil it in sugar and vinegar already, because I want them to be concentrated on the beetroot somehow. So while all of those are going on the stove, we are going to start on our Hasselback potatoes. I start by scrubbing them, cleaning them, You know, one of the things that I have learned is that if you can find your if you're able to buy your potatoes or any other uh, produce that are not washed, please do that and keep them as they are. They stay for long. I've had these potatoes for more than a month. I think it's been 6 weeks now, if I'm not mistaken, and they're still okay. This was the last batch of it, and I scrubbed them with a sponge. This is a new sponge. Don't use the one that you use your dishes with. It contains a lot of germs, you know. So this is a new sponge that I'm using. I scrub them with the sponge, making sure that there isn't any soil left on them, and we are going to slice them up. I think you guys know how I slice them up to create the Hasselback. Once they are washed, you're going to drizzle oil of your choice on them. I used seed oil, and then I used my yellow salt. You can use, I think for them, honestly, salt is fine. It doesn't leave any white residue. I found that the yellow salt stayed on top type of a way. So salt would be perfect for them, and make sure that they are all coated in oil and your salt, and put them on a lined pan. I don't know if you can, I don't know, I've never cooked them without a baking paper, but I'm sure you can just add butter or oil at the bottom or something. Put it in an oven at 180 or 190 degrees. My pumpkin is cooked. I'm going to put it on a colander in a bowl to drain all the excess water. And my beetroot, I'm going to pour a little bit more water in there for it to continue. It wasn't soft yet or where I wanted it. And start on my coleslaw, which we start with shredding one small carrot. I didn't have a lot of cabbage. My cabbage was very small, so I'm not going to add a lot of carrots in there. Just one small one, it is fine. And we'll start on our coleslaw. Beetroot is ready. I didn't have chutney or sweet chili, so I'm going to add a little bit of tomato sauce. So now, if you've been here for a while, you know I would not have a problem with just dishing this on its own without anything, but I thought for aesthetics, you know, it must be shiny a little bit, and I didn't want to put oil on it, so I just added a little bit of tomato sauce there, tomato sauce or tomato sauce there, and then yeah, for it to have that little bit of shine. So in my pan there, which Theo put in a dishwasher, tell our kids that cast iron doesn't go in a dishwasher, guys, please. So in my pan there, I added butter and sugar. I'm going to let it melt for my butternut and proceed into cutting up my cabbage. This is, you can see that it's a small one, so I didn't need to make a big a lot of carrots because it's a very small cabbage. I'm going to slice it up, and it's kinda hollow or shallow. It doesn't have a lot of food inside. I know there's a name for it, I just don't know what is the name. So since I was multitasking, my butter has melted, or my margarine, I'm using margarine this time. It has melted with the sugar. Then we're going to mix it with, we're going to add, I added my butternut in there, mix it in and mash it up until I'm satisfied with the consistency or how it is. I know some people leave it with some chunks in there, but for me, if I'm grilling butternut, yes, I will cube it and serve it like that if it is grilled or boiled. Normally I boil it for the salads, but if I'm cooking it like this, adding sugar and butter, I normally mash it. I like it mashed if it has the sugar and butter. But for anything else, because I do try to stay away from adding sugar on my butternut and all of those things. Hence, like the beetroot and the butternut, I'm always looking for ways to cook it on its own, not adding anything, not adding sugar and all of that, because sometimes I do feel like those things are the things that are not really good for our health. And as you all know, if you've been here, you know, I'm a big boned person or a plus size person, so I try to stay away from things that will increase my weight or help my weight to go from where it is to further. So sugar is one of the things that I try by all means not to add on my food a lot of times. I love baking, ne? I love baking, but if you have noticed, if you've been here, you'd know that I don't bake sweet things a lot. That's because I try to stay away from sugar, you know. So I did add broccoli there that has been washed, and then I just put hot water on it, took it out of the hot water and washed it in cold water, and I added green parts of the uh, spring onion in there as well. My potatoes are coming along. The remaining oil that was remaining on the bowl, it's what I'm using for brushing the potatoes on top, because the skin does get dry. And I was also using the oil that was at the bottom of the pan. You see why the other two potatoes there at the back, when I said the yellow salt was leaving some white residue, I didn't like that. So salt I think would do. My meat is also coming along fine. As I said, I was cooking it the old-fashioned way. I bought the 100-gram tomato paste this time. I wasn't paying attention. I think I hardly ever buy the 100-gram. I prefer to buy the 50-gram because I know I can just use it and it's finished. I don't like opening tomato paste and then there's some left over on it. I don't know. There's nothing wrong with it, but I just don't like it. And I also like whole tomatoes from Woolworths for my stews. The texture, the taste, the juices from it, they taste, I think they take my stew to another level. So I always go for the whole tomatoes instead of the one that I can just cut up at home. And yeah, so my coleslaw is carrots, cabbage, somewhat blanched broccoli, and then I added green parts of the green onion or spring onion, added a little bit of aromat, and then my mayo, and I'm going to stir that in. That's basically my coleslaw. That's how I make it. And of course, the broccoli is not a must, but I always feel like it brings the color. Like it is a that vavavumnyana in my coleslaw because it's green. And I don't cook it as well when I put it in my coleslaw because I still want it crunchy. That's why I say I pour hot water on it until it turns green, and then I take it out of the water, rinse it off to stop the cooking. So I wouldn't say I'm blanching it. I'll just create color from it, from that green to bright green, and that is one side ready. So we're going to start on my spicy sugar snaps. This one you can use green beans actually, but I did not have green beans, so I used what I have. I don't normally complicate my things. I use what I have, and what I had was sugar snaps, so that's what I'm going to use with robot peppers and green chili, and we are going to fry that up. My dinner is ready to serve, and the rice and the peas, I did not cook them together. I cooked my basmati separately and cooked my peas in a microwave for about 2 minutes, or up until they were no longer frozen and they were cooked, but not all they were cooked. And mixed, let them cool. I let the rice cool and the peas to cool, because had I mixed the peas immediately, they were going to continue to cook because the rice would be hot, and they would be hot. So a minute or two, the peas would have changed the color. Our dinner is ready. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Hope to see you on my next video.